Welcome to the Basketball Society podcast. My name is Martin Soaries. I'm the host of this show. This is episode 1. I'm about to go through everything that's about to happen and what you can expect from this show. I'm going to give you the backstory of how Basketball Society came to be, how it got started, what we've been doing, and how it got to the point that it's at now. So that's what we're doing on this episode. Let me tell you about what we're going to do on this show. This show is going to be right here on YouTube. I'm a video guy. I enjoy video. I know people like you enjoy video. So this is a video podcast for all intents and purposes. If you tell people about this, if you share it, it's going to be a YouTube show. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe, stick around. I've got tons of other videos on this channel that you can check out, from NBA to women's basketball to film breakdowns, special interviews, all kinds of stuff, similar stuff to what you're going to see on this show. I've got some of the most important, unique, interesting, creative people across the basketball multiverse set up to be special guests on the show. Coaches, trainers, creatives, players, all kinds of people that really matter, in my opinion, that really matter to this game. I'm going to be getting into some core basketball philosophies. So that'll be basketball myths that we might address or debunk. That'll be basketball terms that we might define and unpack and get more into. And some of my personal core beliefs and philosophies when it comes to the game of basketball, things that I have come to know and understand and believe, having played this game pretty much all my life. You'll find out some more about me. I'll tell some stories and give some of my background as we go, and you'll learn plenty more about me as a basketball player, trainer, fan, and all of the above. You can also expect a lot more talk about meditation and mindfulness. If you follow me on Instagram, if you see what I've been doing, what I've been working on and talking about with young players, a lot of it has to do with breath work and meditation. So every once in a while on this show, I'll be tapping in to give you some insight and just some information about things that I've been learning, that I've been practicing and studying when it comes to meditation and mindfulness and how it connects to the game of basketball. You can also expect segments from Protect Our Queens. There's a playlist on this channel, on our YouTube channel, called Protect Our Queens. And that segment is about highlighting and covering some of the most interesting women's basketball players and influencers in the country. And if you like what you hear, again, I suggest that you go down and subscribe to the channel, because this is just episode 1 and this is just the beginning of our journey together.
Look, I just subscribed to you guys right now.
Oh, look at you. Thank you so much.
That's pretty fucking badass. Yeah.
All right, so the backstory on Basketball Society. I did not come up with the name Basketball Society. Around 2014, one of my closest friends, and he was my partner at the time, Ciro Armel, my guy, we came together and wanted to create a platform basically to just talk about basketball. I really didn't have an idea of what I really wanted to do. Like I was thinking I wanted to do NBA. I wanted to cover the NBA. I was still learning what that even meant. So at that time I was, working social media, being on Twitter, finding different accounts and starting to just get acclimated to what that actually meant to cover the NBA. About a year in, like I would say, I think it's 2015 now, my buddy C came up to me and was like, yo, we need to start training. Like, we need to start coaching out here. You've got people out here coaching kids, training kids that don't know half as much of the game as we do. Not to mention, we can make some money. I had an outdoor court at my house. I'm like, we can start right out here over the summer. Even with training, I didn't even understand what I was getting into. And that became another new form of like learning all of what was going on in that space. So now I was kind of in the media space, but like really learning what that meant. Now I'm in the training space, same thing, having to learn what that meant. I started out by just using like all the tons of workouts that I had in my head for, shooting, ball handling, the fundamentals, the basics. We had kids as young as like 6, 7, 8 years old, all the way up to like high school kids that started coming, and their parents started hearing about what we were doing, and they would bring them to us. So between the two of us, we had enough knowledge to put together, workouts and do what we knew was good for young basketball players to learn. It brought on even more opportunities. We got invited to play in like charity games and all kinds of stuff because, again, we were building up our credibility in the basketball world, in the basketball community. We actually connected with Maurice Ager, who played in the NBA. We played in a charity game with him. Mo was I think he was coaching already for this basketball program in China. And the program was looking for more coaches from America to come over there to coach in their program. So he had reached out to C. They had kept in touch ever since we played in that charity game. He reached out to my guy C about going over to China to coach in this program. Back to even where I started this with the name. C came up with the name. So before we really got into like the training and doing more stuff, like I was like, we need a name. We need something that really represents who we feel like we are, what we want to represent, what we want our platform to be. And through just brainstorming and talking, it was basketball something, because I think we had a name before that we were going by. I think it was the name of my blog, and it wasn't good. We just needed something better. And it was basketball something. So I'm like, yo, let's stick with the basketball something, but we need a word. We need a word that represents what we represent. And he came up with the name Society, and Basketball Society just rolled off the tongue, and that was it from that day forward. So when C heard about this program in China, he jumped at the opportunity. C ended up going to China, and he's lived there ever since. He's lived there for 5, 6 years now, 4 or 5 years. I don't know, but he went and never came back. He's been over there. We still keep in touch. That's my brother. We still got mad love. We had other people that were writing for the blog at the time. We were starting to kind of like recruit and also just people that were coming to us that found us on social media. So we had a few other people on board at the time. So it's not like I was like all by myself. With the training, I pretty much was. But the media stuff really picked up because that's where I had more of a team and more support. So you get up to like 2017, 2018, and we had put in a lot of work. The blog eventually became a website. I think in 2017 we launched like a new website, which was less of a like blog and more of like a legit website. Our coverage and our website and our credibility really got us to a point where we could get in to do more active coverage, and what that looked like going to Madison Square Garden, covering the Big East tournament, the Big Ten tournament. We got to cover Big Ten Media Days. We went to Chicago a couple times for Big Ten Media Day. College basketball games, women's and men's, credentialed basketball media. So now we're not just writing about who's going to win the Eastern Conference. We're actually getting access to cover high-level Division I basketball, where we've got guys really all over covering the Ivy League, Big East, Big Ten, really anywhere Drexel, we had guys in Philly, we had people kind of all over. Anywhere we could get some credentialed access, we were emailing and applying, sending our links, sending our websites, and showing people what we could do. So like 2018, 2019 was when I really started to kind of branch out even more into events and doing stuff like out in the community and really connecting with people. We did our back to school all-star game with like our sister brand, one of my closest friends from all the way back in college. We've been friends for 15 years, my guy Jason Nwosu, and we did our back to school all-star game in August for I can't remember if it was 2 years or 3 years. I think we did it for 3 straight years. It was in Maryland every year. We would go out there, team up with them, team up on the marketing, on the outreach. My guy Jay was running one of the top men's basketball leagues in the area, in the DMV, the Carrington League. D1 guys, former pros, all kinds of high level players, current pros, guys playing overseas that were playing in the Carrington League. And the Carrington League would run through the summer, and we would do the back to school all-star game at the end of the summer in August as the all-star game for the Carrington League, to also serve as like a community event. So we would make it a back to school theme, because we would donate school supplies for kids that came out, gave out a bunch of free school supplies to kids. My guy Jay was running events. He's the event guy. So he would always encourage me to look into stuff like this more, tap in with the community, think about the kind of events, you can do. That did encourage me and did inspire me to get into some more events here in Jersey. We got involved in a 4-on-4 basketball tournament in Piscataway with a couple of local partners. We did our first Spread Love basketball camp when I linked up with some of my guys from LME, some other basketball trainers in Jersey. If you know LME, those are my guys right there. So we teamed up, my man Mel the Prophet, Spread Love. We came together and created the Spread Love basketball clinic. We did it in Perth Amboy. That was 2018. The theme was to obviously provide basketball training and a full day of basketball camp, but we also incorporated leadership training. Our guy Melvin did a session with the kids about the elements and the aspects of self-love and what that looks like, communication skills. We had a session for meditation and yoga. It was really the first of its kind, especially in this area. So that became another event that Basketball Society got to be a part of. The biggest event we got to do, the only one that we really hosted and put on for ourselves, was in 2019. March of 2019, we did the March Madness tip-off in New Brunswick. We had an all-star game. We gave away free stuff. We had sponsors. We had a packed gym. We had white chocolate. We had Cappy Pondexter in the building. We had a 3-point contest, dunk contest for the kids. It was our first event. It was our first big event that we hosted. We had food. We had music. It was dope. We had MCs. We ended up, the brand was just at a point where we had enough to do something like that ourselves with a lot of help. Shout out to Pink Lemonade. We had a good amount of help and support. Shout out to my guy Khalil, who was really with me at that time, for Mel, guys that were with me at that time and taking me to AAU tournaments and telling me about, youth basketball things, stuff that helped me to get even more out into the basketball community. Summer 2019 was one of our big opportunities where we got hired to be the media affiliate for USBA, which is one of the biggest national tournaments. It was in Charlotte that year. Charlotte or Raleigh? I think it was Raleigh. So we took 7 or 8 guys out to Raleigh. We got paid to come and cover throughout the week. One of the biggest opportunities we ever got up to that point. So fast forward to 2020, February, we went to Chicago. We did the Spread Love clinic. We went there during All-Star Weekend, offered a free clinic, a great experience. We connected with really some legends in the area. We came back and I was getting ready for the second annual March Madness tip-off. In March, we were doing it at New Brunswick again. Remember, this was February. So the pandemic obviously was on its way. Things were in place, but I hadn't really done much marketing. I really had to start just putting the whole thing together in a matter of a few weeks. But the pandemic hit. It came strong. Shutdowns were happening. They canceled the state tournaments. They canceled all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, well, there's no way this event is going to happen. So before the school pulled the plug on me, I pulled the plug on the whole thing. And of course, by March, we were shut down.
Basketball Society is the best program out here. If you want to play basketball, get into Basketball Society. You heard?
Right. Basketball Society.
So then what happened next was really what became the next big shift. And there was a shift in every industry. Everyone experienced some kind of change or shift during the pandemic. And what it was for us and for Basketball Society was, I knew that, the NBA was shut down. There were no basketball games on. There's no, so whatever, our team was like, at one time we had 15 to 20 writers on our site. Like, we had a bunch of people on board just doing stuff. By the time the pandemic came, we were probably down to about 10 people or something, 8 to 10 people. And I told those people in March, as things were starting to shut down, that we were going to have to get really creative and really focused on what we all wanted to do next with this platform. When there's no basketball being played, we have no sponsorship, corporate backing. We're not getting funded. We are still very much, we talk about from the ground up. We're not up yet. We're closer to the ground than we are to the up. We're still building. So it was imperative that we had to be very creative all this time in order to, build our social media platform. We had over 65,000, close to 65,000 followers on Instagram at that time. Basketball was getting shut down from the NBA all the way down to high school, AAU. There was nothing, right? So I'm like, we already had to be really creative. We already were supposed to be getting innovative and pushing each other and figuring out programming and content, what sets us apart, what can set us up for potential sponsorship, or, whatever our personal, individual, or collective goals were. We already had to be very creative because it's just us. When things were shutting down, I'm like, what do y'all think is about to happen now? We're going to have to get even more creative right now. So we did a couple things, it got up to June, July, I was fortunate again to have, an outdoor court here at the crib where, again, if you follow me, you've seen the dojo outside, how we get down out there. So I was fortunate to still be able to have, small individual sessions, which is that's really where I ended up doing as a trainer, was mainly focusing on one-on-one personal sessions, being a personal skills trainer. So I was still, focusing on my kids that I was, tapped in with, that I was invested in. And when it came to the media, the website, the content and stuff, I started getting I did some interviews, started doing some lives, some Zoom interviews, trying to figure it out. How do we stay relevant, basically? How do we stay relevant and still connect with people and still offer people content? And so we were doing that. We were kind of doing that. I was doing some stuff. Some other guys were doing some stuff. We kind of took it to the YouTube channel. We started focusing on the channel a little bit more, doing some more video content, some more organic video content. But the couple main things that I was called and led to do was, for one, we set up virtual workouts with my buddy Eric Van Tine, who runs what was called at that time Built to Perform. Now it's called Stretch Plus. And Eric had done one of our other events, which I didn't even mention before. We did something called Summer Series for a couple of summers, where we would do kind of like a skills clinic, but also we would try to we'd get barbecue, we try to barbecue outside, play music, have a good workout, have good food, just good basketball vibes, pretty much. We did it here at the crib one summer. We teamed up with Team Elevation, local AAU program, did it at a park here in the area another summer. We tried to bring special guests out and stuff like that, just tried to make it a cool, fun, engaging basketball environment for people to come, just connect. So the one summer we did it at the park, I had Eric come because he does fascial stretch therapy. he was like, man, I really want to, offer this to some of the kids you work with, some of the players you work with. So I had him come out to our summer series event one summer. He brought his table out at the park, and Eric put me on that table and had me breathe a certain way and put me down and had a strap my leg down and whip my leg over and then put my shoulder like this and did, punch me in here and did all kinds of wild stuff. And it was unlike any stretching experience I had ever had. And from that point on, I knew like, yo, we have to stay connected. So mind you, that was summer 2019. That was summer 2019. In April 2020, when the pandemic hit and things were shut down, and I knew we had to set up some virtual stuff, I hit up Eric and I said, yo, let's set up if you can, because he was a teacher at the time. So he was doing virtual stuff for school, but I saw him doing virtual stuff. I'm like, yo, can you do some virtual workouts that we can, offer? We'll promote it on our platform. Basketball players have, they can't go to the gym. They can't work out. Everyone's doing stuff from home. And we were doing virtual workouts, for an hour, just doing strength stuff, stretching stuff. And that was one of the virtual programs that I set up during the pandemic. This is all Basketball Society. This is stuff that, as the founder of Basketball Society, somebody who wanted to offer, unique, genuine, and helpful basketball resources to society, which is part of what Basketball Society is supposed to represent, that was something that I knew I wanted to offer. The other thing I started offering was virtual meditation. It was the perfect time, really, to encourage meditation. I was not practicing meditation at this time. I was comfortable enough to reach out to actually the Meditation Center of Chicago, which is who we reached out to when we went to Chicago for the Spread Love Basketball Clinic. We reached out to them and asked them to come do a meditation session with the kids, because part of the theme, one of the things that we always said would be part of the Spread Love Clinic, was a meditation and or yoga session. So I found this meditation center in Chicago, emailed them, asked them to come while we were there that weekend. They brought a whole monk to our basketball session. They had a couple meditation guides and a monk that sat there. He had his whole monk garb stuff on, right? Bald head, all that. Again, that was February 2020, remember, when we went to Chicago. So a couple months later, pandemic shut down. We need virtual programming for Basketball Society. I decided we needed virtual meditations. I reached back out to the meditation center. I saw they were doing some virtual meditation stuff. So I reached out to them and said, yo, we need you guys. Like, I need you guys to set up a, 30 to 45 minute virtual meditation session that we will promote on our platforms. When I say we, it was really just me. I had made up my mind. This was something that I wanted my platform to be involved in, offering basketball resources, unique, credible, engaging, helpful, sustainable basketball resources to society. So as a trainer, as someone who's invested in the development and well-being of young basketball players, let's pour into their minds. Let's help them, especially during this time, during a pandemic when things are shut down. They're stuck at home. They're I don't want to say they're not doing anything. They're playing video games. They're getting up to work out. Some of them, if they're that committed, but it's like we need to be showing that we're offering things other than just, who did this dunk better, Vince Carter or Sean Kemp. So those were the two things we set up: virtual workouts, virtual meditations, Basketball Society. We moved forward. I started Protect Our Queens, which was a virtual way to do interviews with some women's basketball prospects. That started up in the summer of 2020. Protect Our Queens became our women's basketball cornerstone. I had access to some of the top girls basketball players in the state of New Jersey to interview and to connect with. I'm like, I'm not going to create a whole new platform, but I'm going to create a segment that is just for them. So in the summer of 2020, summer of the pandemic, was when me and my buddy Eric came together, created a joint platform, Holistic Hooper. You can follow it on Instagram, holistic.hooper. So we wanted to offer information on fascia focused stretching, mindfulness and meditation, and combine our platforms to do that. So I started posting more on Basketball Society about mindfulness, meditation, women's basketball, protect our queens. And we started losing followers. We've lost what? I mean, I told you, we were at almost 65K in 2020. Now we're just under 60K. So we've lost like around 5,000 or 6,000 followers in the last couple years on Instagram, which is our biggest platform, for other reasons too. Like we were less consistent. Other guys were getting less motivated to really put in work, which was understandable. I was just going in a direction that I knew I needed to go in. Listen, we're not Ball is Life. We're not Overtime. We're not posting highlights and funny and cute stuff, just to get followers and engagement. That was never who I was. That was never what this platform was. As of last April, I am the sole owner, operator, writer, producer, social media manager. Anything you see that comes out of Basketball Society since April 2021 is all me. And that's what's beautiful about this podcast, is that it's really going to represent all of these things over the last year or two, ever since the pandemic. So really the last couple years, I started to focus more on producing, organic content, my own videos, focusing on the YouTube channel. If you really go through the channel, you'll see other faces. Those are some of the people who were part of Basketball Society over time. You will also see the turning point when it was really just my face on these videos. All I did was stay tapped in. All I could do was stay tapped in. It's just that I had to step back and almost start from scratch, not completely, but just start back with myself, what I did, what I do, and then work my way back out. There may be another team that builds. I do have an intern right now. Shout out to my guy Elijah, because he helps me out with our Instagram page when he can. But that's been the only other person right now that is helping me out with the stuff I'm doing. I'm getting ready to do more interviews. I'm getting ready to do more producing. You're getting ready to see a lot more from this brand. And that's where we are. And that's what Basketball Society is. That's where it's been. That's how it came to be. And you'll see a lot more. Thank you for watching this episode of the Basketball Society podcast. I appreciate everybody's support who taps into this show. For more basketball content, interviews, breakdowns, and episodes of the podcast, subscribe to the channel and stay tapped in.